Oberyn Martell.
Welcome back to Pop Culture Explosion. My name is Nikki, and this is Paul.
Here at Pop Culture Explosion, we watch those shows. We love the... Hey, wait a second. Guys, we have a new guest today. Her name is Nikki. I work with her. She's a lot of fun, and we both share the same passion of what, Nikki?
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. So today we're talking about the top 10 badass women of Game of Thrones. So, coming in at number 10 is Sansa Stark. Now, you might wonder, why is she on this list? I mean, the first 3 or 4 seasons, she was like the little bitch, right?
She was.
She got raped a couple times. She was going from jerk to jerk to jerk.
Yep.
But what happened when she got back to Winterfell?
She became a leader.
A total leader. Actually, I fear her, and I think that was good practice for her in the upcoming Dark Phoenix movie.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I think that she definitely grew as a character. She started off as wanting to just be a princess and actually became a leader of her household. Let's talk about number 9. We're going to talk about Ygritte. That's Jon Snow's girl.
Probably the hottest redhead in Game of Thrones.
She's amazing. Absolutely gorgeous. She's definitely a fighter. She grew up along with the wildlings, nothing but men, always having to struggle to fight. We see that she's this rough, tough type girl that's really great with her bow and arrow, but then we see the softer side of her when she's with Jon Snow and see her fall in love. She had the opportunity to kill Jon Snow, but decided to just hit him with a few arrows instead.
No, all I have to say is, you know nothing, Jon Snow. So
even when facing death,
yes, you know nothing, Jon Snow.
Still said you know nothing, Jon Snow.
So coming in at number 8 is Yara Greyjoy. Now, when you look at the family of the Greyjoys, my first thought is they're losers. I mean, the dad was just what? Well, we won't talk about a certain eunuch that pretty much turned traitor against the Starks, but Yara is amazing. I mean, her men follow her. She's an amazing captain, and she can kick ass with a sword. Anything you
I love that she demands power and she takes it, and she's got, like you said, like the whole fleet that just wants to follow her, and they're also loyal to death for her.
That one scene where her uncle has her by the throat, you know, and her brother just cowardly jumps off the ship, and you just saw her heart break. Yeah, my heart broke there too. That
was a little disappointing,
to
say the least. Okay, so coming in at number 7, let's talk about Lyanna Mormont. She is another badass. She is only 10, looks like she's 10, and she had to stand up for her whole family, become the leader of a whole household, and go to war. She's dealing with men that are 3-4 times her age that have had way more experience in battle, and here she is demanding power. She comes off confident and she has her own opinions. Yes, she takes other people's opinions into account, but she always comes up with, this is what I believe.
My favorite scene was when they're all talking about who's going to be king of the North, right? And all these old white dudes, right? And they're like, no. And she's like, where were you? Where were you? Where were you? Where were you?
She called them out.
And
she called them all
completely out. And they're like, oh my God, we just got put in our place.
By a 10-year-old girl.
And then in the Battle of the Bastards, she was on the battlefield right by Jon Snow.
Yep.
So when I first met this character, I'm like, I would marry her, but then I'd be a pedophile, so I guess I won't. So
yeah, so let's just say she's a badass.
She's a badass. So going on, let's talk about Catelyn Stark. She's the matriarch of the Stark family.
Yep.
You know, there's a debate with Nikki and I about her being on this list, and a couple things strike me. One, she was a leader. You know, she was also the power behind Ned Stark, and even though, you know, the relationship between, you know, Jon Snow and her, because she just thought that, you know, Ned had an affair, she still raised him as one of her own. The two most prominent moments I have with her is when the assassin tried to kill Bran, and she literally, like, I mean, she grabbed the dagger with her hand.
Her bare hands.
And then when she realized that all hell broke loose at the Red Wedding.
Yeah, so I just disagree with the whole she raised Jon Snow as her own, because I feel like she tried, but she really couldn't accept the fact that it wasn't her child, and still treated him unfairly, but she did attempt the best that she could.
Yeah.
I agree with the main points of her being a leader, and she definitely did a great job with Brienne protecting her young. And at the Red Wedding, I loved the fact that right at the face of death, she knew that she was going to die, but she took out the only person she could. She was like, I'm going down, but I'm taking someone down with
this
me.
bitch with me.
And she had no problem slitting that throat.
Yep.
Good job, Catelyn. Okay, so number 5 on the list is Brienne of Tarth. So she is ginormous. She is like a dude. So she is not only like big like a dude, but she's also breaking all these stereotypes of what a female should be at this time. She doesn't care to have the short hair, wear the armor, go out and fight the guys. In most of the battles that we see her fighting, she's winning. Mm-hmm. Every guy that she's fought, we've seen her win.
I mean, she beat the crap out of Jaime Lannister.
She did.
The Hound.
The Hound. That was it. We discussed it, how epic that fight was.
Well, the hard part with me with that fight was I loved both characters.
I know. Who do you want to win? And I'm like, I don't want either one to win or lose.
I'm like, really, GOT? What are you doing to me? I really love her character arc. I love her loyalty, and that moment where she's facing up with Ira, and you could just tell that she's pleading for her to join, and just her heart was breaking because I don't think it had to do with her. It was had to that she might not be able to fulfill a promise that she made with her mother.
Exactly. Yeah. No matter how many pledges she has, because she's pledged her loyalty to Baratheon, and then she also had Starks, but she knows that the Stark girls are still alive, and that her pledge is still there. She's going to fight to the death for the rest of her life to make sure these girls are safe. And that is amazing that she follows through with this. One of the points that I love about her so much is that she befriends one of the most hated people of Game of Thrones, which is Jaime Lannister.
And because of that friendship, we get an amazing character arc with Jaime Lannister.
Exactly. So now we get to see a character development through this friendship, which is just phenomenal, because who wants to be friends with the backstabber, And she does. And finally, Jaime's branching outside of the family.
Yeah. And Lady Tyrell. Whoa! I mean, there's that whole gangster cigarette thing meme. I love her. Not only is she just politically savvy, she knows things.
Yeah.
She knows Joffrey was a monster. Mm-hmm. She had no intention of her granddaughter ever marrying him, but she wanted to wait till you know what? I can't. I can't. There's no words.
I love at the very end of her life, like again, we're facing death, and she's like, Tell Cersei it was me. Like she's like, I want to make sure she knows, and that's awesome.
Yeah, she saw her death coming.
She took it gracefully.
She did, and matter of fact, she reminds me of my grandma, because I fear my grandma so much. It's like, yeah, it's my grandma. So there you go.
All right, number 3. Let's talk about Dany, Daenerys Targaryen. She is obviously amazing and gorgeous and wonderful. I feel like there's some people that might not feel this way. She's definitely a badass. Like let's look at her character from the beginning. She started off in a palace, a kingdom, and then got everything taken away from her. She's a orphan living with a brother that absolutely hates her and treats her like crap, and she goes just like Sansa, from guy to guy to guy that just treats her like crap, and she overcomes every one of these obstacles, every one of these guys, and she ends up becoming Mother of Dragons. She ends up freeing hundreds of thousands of slaves.
Breaker of Chains. She does have the longest title in Game of Thrones.
She does. Like, I don't think we can go through the whole list.
No.
It'll take up an hour.
She's made a couple choices that I've disagreed with in the series, but overall, I mean, when she basically stole the Unsullied, that scene, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to mess with this woman, because she scares me. So
she's pretty intimidating, and so she definitely has the ability to become the Mad King, and I think that she knows that, and she tries to not be as mad, but she's still a little mad.
Well, I think the difference is she's surrounding herself with really wise people that have no afraid of speaking truth to power.
Right.
And I think that's what's going to keep her from dipping into that. So
I agree.
Number 2, we have Arya Stark. Duh.
Yeah.
Arya Stark got her first kill when she was around 10 years old, I'm guessing.
Something like that, yeah.
This woman, young lady, she has this thing called the needle. It's a small little variant sword. She's been trained to be an assassin. If she wants somebody dead, they're going to be dead. Yeah. My goal in life is to always be on her good side.
Oh, yeah.
So,
everybody in Game of Thrones should think that. I mean, she took out a whole family in one meal.
She probably has the second highest death count in Game of Thrones.
Probably, but she's also the youngest, which is pretty amazing.
Right. The one thing that really, watching the new trailers for Game of Thrones, there's a scene where Arya is running in pure terror. And if I was ever to see that, I'm going to be running really quickly too. Yeah. So let's talk about our honorable mentions.
The number one list of our badass women of Game of Thrones.
Guess who?
The best of the best, Cersei Lannister. I love Cersei. I have to say, she's definitely one of the most loved and hated. I've gone through ups and downs with her. I've loved her and I've hated her throughout this whole season or series. But I want to say that she's definitely worked really hard for her family to become where she is today. She's the queen. It took a lot of sacrifice. She dealt with a lot of guys. She listened to their input and took it all in. And now she comes out of this as, I don't care. I'm going to do what I want to do. And she's not afraid to be with Jaime anymore. She's like, this is what I want. I'm going to do what I want. I'm queen. I've earned it. I think the most badass that we could talk about for her is the Walk of Shame. To have all this power and be feared, and just to be literally stripped of it in front of everybody.
Stripped as a naked, everything.
Completely naked, of title, of hair, of clothes, everything, and walk through your own city butt naked, and come out still on top and still take out half your own city to take out your enemies and just sip your wine. Grace.
Well, the one thing I want to thank Cersei Lannister for is she actually makes day drinking look like good, So
every time I watch Game of Thrones, I want to drink some wine. I'm just saying.
so yeah, I agree. She's definitely a political person you do not want as your enemy. She has the Mountain as her personal bodyguard. She has
her lapdog.
Yeah, she's a mad scientist. She has the small council. She controls one of the largest armies in Westeros, and she's probably one of the wealthiest. So yeah, I think Cersei's probably the most powerful, badass woman in Game of Thrones. So, hey, that was our Game of Thrones top 10 badass women. What are your thoughts? Do you agree with our list? Are there people that we forgot? Do you want to rearrange it? Hey, let's have that conversation in the comment section below. If you like this video, smash that like button. If you did not like the video, dislike. It's all good. We get it. And for future content, please hit that subscribe. Well, with that being said, peace out.
Welcome back to Pop Culture Explosion.